Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1 from RAC1202F. Today we would like to present our study about type of sports preferred by UITM Arau students. Our group consists of 5 members, which is Aini Besara, me, Emilia Karinisa, Auni Haresh, Akila Nur Shafika, and Muhammad Izul Izwan. Content of our presentation are introduction, methodology, data collection method, data analysis and result, and lastly, conclusion. Firstly, introduction, background of study. Sport can be defined as an activity involving physical exertion or skill and one that regulated by set rules or custom which an individual or team compete against another or others. Sport plays an important role in student daily life as it is a crucial part of a student's growth and development because it aids in their growth of psychological well-being as well as bodily health. Sport can be various and have a lot of types that are preferred to be played by students. For instance, netball, futsal, rugby, badminton, volleyball, and others. This determinant will be a choice that students will choose to play based on their interest in which type of sport. Interest is usually a factor that determines the development of an individual-environment interaction. Interest will help students to develop an influence to socially participate in any kind of activity that attracts them. An interest on sport on students can help us determine whether they did it as a hobby, an exercise, or for their leisure time. Students fill in their free time with any activity that benefits them in any way as a source of entertainment such as sports that help them to enjoy themselves. After seeking a lot of resources, we have formed a group to make research about students' preference on type of sports that we believe that we can gain many important information about their perspective in their interest in sport. We start our research in UITM Arau College by asking students from 6 faculties randomly. We had discussed to disseminate the online questionnaire to the student, which include some daily basis questions about their interest and preference type in sport. The student opinion that we collect is important for the research. So as a group, we decide to make 5 objectives for this research. Firstly, it is to study the type of sport that UITM Arau students prefer to play. Secondly, to study the interest in sport among UITM Arau students. Next, to investigate the reason why UITM Arau students play sports. Besides that, to determine the amount of time spent by UITM Arau students on playing in a day, and lastly, to determine the appropriate time preferred by UITM Arau students to.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, I'm Auni Harish binti Muhammad Ridwan. I'm going to talk about 2.0, which is methodology. Description of data. This study used questionnaire as a survey approach to collect data from respondents, which are students from UITM Arau. Information collection was carried out by distributing survey questionnaire through Google Form links to all respondents through WhatsApp and Telegram social media sites. The respondents were given 2 weeks to fill out questionnaire starting from 4 May 2023 until 18 May 2023. For the population, we used all students in UITM Cawangan Perlis. For example, we used the student from 6 faculties in UITM Cawangan Perlis. The sampling technique we use is stratified sampling, and the process is, for step 1, list all students' ID from UITM Cawangan Perlis. For step 2, the student will be divided into 6 faculties. You can refer to table 2.1.1 on the next slide. For step 3, the first student from each faculty will be selected randomly and the rest can be used using simple random sampling method. This is table 2.1.1, which shows the calculation of the sample that we get from 6 faculties. Data collection method. We use e-questionnaire. We use e-questionnaire to get information for our assignment. This questionnaire consists of 7 questions, which have 2 demographic questions and 5 questions regarding the measurement of sample. The table shows about the description of variables. 3.0 Findings. Demographic profile. Respondents have 2, which is gender and faculty. The table and bar chart shown here is the total of 42 respondents that respond to the survey. Most of them are female by 85.7%, followed by male by 14.3%. Our faculty of respondent is the table shows that the highest percentage of respondents who answered the online survey of type of sport referred by UITM Arau students is faculty of accountancy by 64.3%, with a total of 27 respondents from the faculty. This is followed by faculty of applied science by 60.7%, with a total of 7 respondents. Next, faculty of sports science and recreation by 7.1%, with a total of 3 respondents. Then, faculty of computer and mathematical science and faculty of plantation and agrotechnology by 4.8% for both faculties, with a total of 2 respondents each faculty. Lastly, the lowest percentage of respondents that answered the online survey is Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying by 2.4% with a total of 1 respondent.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Sarah binti Muhammad and I'm going to present 3.2 type of sport played by UITM Arau student. They will show type of sport played by UITM Arau student. 3.2.1 Most preferred sport by UITM Arau student. From the table in 3.2 just now, the most preferred sport by UITM Arau student is badminton, with 50% of the respondent choose this sport. The second preferred sport is netball with 21.4%. The third preferred sport is volleyball with 11.9%. The fourth, fifth, and sixth preferred sport are futsal, rugby, and tennis with 4.8%. The least preferred sport by UITM Arau student is takraw with 2.4% of the respondents choose the sport. 3.3 Average time UITM Arau student plays sport in a week. From the table, the average number of time of 42 students in UITM Arau play sport in a week is 2.29. Half of the students in UITM Arau play sport less than 2 times in a week, while the other half play sport more than 2 times in a week. However, most of the 42 students in UITM Arau play sport 1 time in a week. The standard deviation for this data is 1.852 time in a week, while the variance is 3.429 time in a week. From the data, it shows a positively skewed distribution because the value of mean is bigger than median, while the value of median is bigger than mean. From the data also, the first quarter is describing that 25% of the 42 students in UITM Arau play sports less than 1 time in a week, while another 75% of the students play sports more than 1 time in a week. For the second quarter is describing that 50% of the 42 students in UITM Arau play sports less than 2 times in a week, while another 50% of the students play sports more than 2 times in a week. Lastly, the third quartile is showing that 75% of the 42 students in UITM Arau play sport less than 3 times in a week, while another 25% of the students play sports more than 3 times in a week.
3.4 Reason why UITM Arau students play sports. 3.4.1 Most chosen reason on why UITM Arau students play sports. The most chosen reason on why UITM Arau students play sports is to fill their leisure time. 57.1% of 42 students choose this reason. Next, the second chosen reason why UITM Arau students play sport is because they treat sport like as a hobby. 28.6% of the students choose this reason. Lastly, the third chosen reason on why UITM Arau students play sport is because they treat sports as their regular exercise. 14.3% of the students respond and choose. 3.5 Time in our UITM Arau students spend to play sports per week. From the table, most of UITM Arau students play sports 1 hour per week with 28.65% of the 42 students respond with the answer. Next, the second usually time in our the students spend to play sports per week is 2 hours. 23.8% of the students respond with the answer. The third usually time UITM Arau students spend to play sports per week is 4 hours. 16.7% of the students respond with the answer. The fourth usually time the student spends to play sports per week is 3 hours with 14.3% of the UITM Arau students respond with the answer. The fifth usually time the students spend to play sports is 6 hours with 4.8% of the students respond with the answer. The least time spent by UITM Arau students to play sports per week is 12 hours and 18 hours with only 2.4% respondents for both answers. 3.6 time preferred by UITM Arau students to play sports. 3.6.1 most preferred time by UITM Arau students to play sports. The most preferred time by UITM Arau students to play sports is in the evening, with 78.6% of the 42 respondents choose this answer. Next, the second preferred time by the UITM Arau students to play sport is at the night, with 11.9% of the respondents choose the answer. The third preferred time by the students to play sport is in the afternoon, with 7.1% of the respondents choose the answer. Lastly, the least preferred time by UITM Arau students to play sport is at the morning, with only 2.4% of the students choose the answer.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Izizwan. Now I'm going to talk about 4.0, data and analysis. We have prepared a stack bar chart for time preferred by faculty to play sports. From the cross-tabulation and stack bar chart, the most preferred time to play sports by all faculties is on the evening, while the least preferred time to play sports is in the morning. Faculty of Accountancy most preferred to play sports on the evening, and same goes to the other faculties. Next, we have prepared a clustered bar chart for reason why students play sports by gender. From the cross-tabulation and clustered bar chart, the most preferred reason why the students in UITM Arau play sports is because they treat sport as their regular exercise, while the least preferred reason for the male students is because they treat sport as their hobbies. Meanwhile, for the female students in UITM Arau, the reason they play sport is to fill their leisure time, while the least preferred reason they play sport is because they treat the sport as their regular exercise. Next, we have prepared a clustered bar chart for type of sport preferred by gender. The most preferred sport for male is futsal, while the least preferred is rugby. The most preferred sport for female is badminton, while the least preferred sport is futsal and takraw. Now, in conclusion, after weeks of research and survey from our group has done in type of sport preferred by UITM Arau students, we can make a conclusion that the majority of male students prefer to play futsal, while the majority of female students prefer to play badminton. Based on the response we received, we got a total of 42 responses from the survey that we conducted. First of all, majority sports played by male students is futsal, while the least preferred sport is rugby. On the other hand, the majority sports played by female students is badminton, while the least preferred are futsal and takraw. Secondly, majority of students prefer to play sports during the evening and don't prefer to play sports during morning. Lastly, we can conclude that the male students in UITM Arau treat sport as their regular exercise and not because it is their hobby, while the female students in UITM Arau play sports just to fill their leisure time and not as a regular exercise.